Hello, fountain pen friends. Welcome to the Pen Habit and another pen review video. Before we begin, I want to thank Van Ness Pens at vanness1938.com for providing the pen for today's review. They provided it to me free of charge, and we'll be doing a giveaway of this one too, and it's pretty awesome. So the pen we're going to be reviewing is the Taccia Spectrum. Now, Taccia is an interesting company. It's spelled Taccia, Taccia. If you're going with the Italian-ish pronunciation, let's say, but it is actually a Japanese brand, if my research is any indication. So the company was founded in 2003 by fashion designer Shujen Lin, and I've met her a few times at different pen shows. She's brought these around, and they've made the rounds, and I've been excited to try them. One of the things that's very interesting about these Taccia Spectrums is Taccia and the Japanese pen company Sailor are both distributed by the same company, Itoya. And there's something about that distribution relationship where Taccia has now has access to some of Sailor's nibs. And so these are a really great and pretty affordable way to get a hold of some Sailor nibs on pens that may be a little bit different than what Sailor puts out. So I'm excited to show it to you. So, comes in this box, kind of black paper box with a silver logo on the front, and you slide that open. Got a black pen coffin, again, silver logo. And inside you've got this kind of nice grayish fabric and the pen itself. This is the Taccia Spectrum. Underneath that, we've got the booklet and a couple of cartridges, and these are Sailor style cartridges, and the certificate of purchase, the whole 9 yards there. So, but really, this is all about the pen. Now, the Spectrum started making an appearance, I'm guessing a year ago. It comes in 3 colors. It comes in a blue, a red, and this, which they call the forest green, which is really more of a teal color. It's a really neat color. I don't have any pens in this color, really. I think probably the closest I've seen is like the Pelikan Aquamarines, but this is certainly more green. It's clear acrylic, or semi-clear acrylic. You've got this steel-colored clip, very stiff, nice, intricate design, the Taccia logo that's printed there, and then the pen comes down. Now this, if I had to guess, I'd say this is probably injection molded, but I don't know that for sure. However it's made, I don't see any seams, any injection molding spots, any of that kind of stuff. So it's either machined or it is very, very well finished after being injection molded. So removing the cap, we've got 1, 2, almost 3 full turns to get the cap off. And it is plastic threads on the interior of the cap on metal threads on the body here. You got a relatively short section. And this is a cartridge converter pen. They do use Sailor converters, and I'm not going to go off on my rant about Sailor converters, but I don't care for them. Not just that they're proprietary, but they tend to leak on me. That has been my experience. There is a little rubber gasket here, which would lead me to believe that this pen may be able to be eyedroppered, but I've not tried it. Anytime you start putting a metal tenon around ink, well, first of all, I just don't eyedropper pens that much anyway. But even when you do start doing that, I just don't want to take the risk. Now, we get to the nib, and the nib is what makes this pen very interesting to me. So I've tried Sailor's nib. Sailor is considered to have some of the most consistent, well-made, and well-performing nibs on the market right now. But I've only ever tried their gold nibs. I've never tried their steel nibs. This is a Sailor steel nib. And it is Taccia branded. It's got this neat kind of bicolor design with this kind of rope motif around the outside. Round breather hole, nib slit and everything. Got the feed underneath. It's a small nib, and it is very well made. It's very well made, very well adjusted. And if you know what Sailor nibs are like, you're not going to be surprised by this. That's not a bad thing. It's actually a pretty good thing, but we'll get to that when we talk about the writing. So overall, the pen is interesting. It's got a very narrow section for me, and it's a little shorter than I like. but it doesn't post deeply, but it doesn't feel too back heavy when I post it. This is actually a pen I prefer to use posted to unposted, and it's pretty light. It doesn't feel awkward or any of that kind of thing. So it really is quite an interesting pen. Very cool color, nicely made. It just feels solid in the hand, very well finished, all of that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and do some measurements and some comparisons, and then I'm going to show you how this writes. It's perhaps a little ironic that I used a quote about not having worldly desires on a pen about fountain and a channel about fountain pens, but one of the things that I've really kind of taken to heart recently, and I've talked about this in other videos, is sometimes acquisition is not the goal. Sometimes you find the thing that works for you and you should enjoy it and let that lack of desire just kind of bubble for a while. It's nice to not be constantly looking for the next new thing. And in this community, we do go crazy for the next new thing. We get very, very excited about whatever's new, whatever's different. And while that's awesome and exciting, there's also, I feel like, a lot of opportunity for us to just use the things that we have and get into it. And hey, trust me, I understand the irony of that, or the even the hypocrisy of that coming from my mouth, but it's something that over the last several years I've like, yeah, the acquisition is not what it's all about for me anymore. It's about the use of it. So anyway, let's talk about the writing of this Taccia Spectrum. So this is a medium nib, as I mentioned in the writing. And one of the things you'll notice, I'll pull up here. Let's see, where's the, here it is. I'll pull up one of the pens I reviewed a little earlier, the Keras Customs Decograph. This is also a medium nib, and I'm going to show you the difference. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the difference between Japanese medium and Western medium, here's the difference. This is a Western medium. There's a Japanese medium. It's a full line width smaller, easily. Now, sailor nibs, by default, are going to be adjusted pretty much perfectly in terms of ink flow and starting ability. Their nibs, I've never had a sailor nib hard start on me. I've never had a sailor nib show ink starvation, any of that kind of stuff. The folks at Sailor, the nibmeisters at Sailor, they know what they're doing, and they do it really well. Now, that being said, Sailor's nibs do have more feedback to them, and I often refer to it as a pencil-like feedback. It's very, you can hear it. You probably heard it in the video, but it is textural. Textural. That's the word I was looking for, I think. So it's not just going to float right across the paper. It doesn't need any effort to write. I mean, you really don't have to put any pressure down. So in that respect, it is very, very well adjusted. It's just not going to be butter smooth if that's what you like. But those people who have Sailor nibs know Sailor nibs, so that won't be a surprise. This is what you would expect from a Sailor nib, which is what I just took a really, really long time to say. It is a steel nib. There's a touch of line variation you can coax out of it with a little bit of downward pressure. What you get more, though, is additional ink flow, where you can, see a little bit more shading. So if you're heavy-handed, I think you'd be okay with this nib, and you can get a little bit of line variation out of it without damaging the nib. In terms of ink flow, it's not a gusher. First of all, it's a finer line for a medium. That helps, but it's not a gusher. But it's really consistent and nice and moderate. So it's a really, really good writer. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and this is a really great way to get a utilitarian pen what is a utilitarian pen in my book, with a spectacular writing experience. So if you're looking for a pen in this price range, we'll get to price in a second, that is different than what you'll get from everyone else, this is a really good one to consider, because you're not going to find a lot of pens in this price range with this style of writing experience, or this combination of materials and this style of writing experience. This is very different than a lot of other things on the market, and I actually like it quite a bit. So the Taccia Spectrum lists for about $159, which seems to be kind of the going rate for steel-nibbed pens that, this kind of, when you get into the acrylic world of steel-nibbed pens that are kind of the next step up from the starter pen. You can find it, though, in a lot of retailers for around $120 to $130 with that, with the retailers' discounts on them. And at that price point, I really think this is a great deal. This pen is a wonderful writer. It's comfortable in the hand. It's very well made. That Sailor nib is something different and something really, really solid, and I like it a lot. Now, the styling of the pen itself is kind of meh for me, but I don't find it yawn-inducing or offensive in any way. It's just there's nothing too special about the way the pen looks, which, if you're looking for a really solid workhorse pen, may be exactly what you want. This is a pen that will catch some eyes, but not a lot of them. It's kind of understated while still giving you a little bit of color, but you're going to be hard-pressed to beat the writing experience of this pen. And for $120, $125, it's a winner for me. This one's a real winner for me. So, anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this review of the Taccia Spectrum. It's a brand I don't know a lot about. I've had a little bit of interaction with the brand before, but not a lot. I look forward to see what we get from them in the future. I know they do a lot of very expensive pens and, Mach-E and Rodin and that sort of thing, but this is kind of a production line model at $120, very, very doable for a lot of people. So hope you've enjoyed the review. Thanks again to Van Ness Pens at vanness1938.com for providing this for review and giveaway. And if you have any other questions or comments, please don't hesitate to send them to penhabit@gmail.com. I will try to get to them as quickly as I can, but I can't always respond to all of them or in a timely manner. You can also leave comments here on YouTube or over on penhabit.com. And also allow me to recommend that if you haven't, go and check out the Inky Fingers notebook line, also at penhabit.com, penhabit.com/shop, where you can get lined, blank, dot grid, bullet planner, and the currently inked ink tracker. So I look forward to seeing you here on another video. Stay tuned, and we'll be back soon. Take care. Bye. Hello, my fabulous pen friends. Welcome to another video here and another fountain pen review. And a quick thank you to the sponsor. Hello, my fountain pen friends. Welcome to another video. Glad to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about another review video. Oh my gosh, Matt.